I returned a book at the Forest, the Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative that I'd borrowed a week ago, and I returned it as promised. And there's no thinking tools going on there either. There's just nobody knows how to apply the mission statements that are so well written for all the signs and organizations here. But if you go in there and investigate how they interact with you and they interact with each other and how they lack the thinking tools to implement their own mission statements, you'd see that it's the same as Canada and the same as the 8 Asian countries I've interacted with. And I just came from El Shaddai, where I told them shame on you many times in front of God Almighty, which is supposedly the Hebrew saying of that word, those words. And they're just the same as everybody else. You know, they're domestication centers where the adults, teachers, management are already domesticated, so they suffer from advanced HSD. So they're really passing on zombieism to the next generation. They're not at schools. I never got to read this book. And I'm disappointed that I disappointed my little neighbor who arranged to give my phone number to her teacher, who had called the night before to say, oh, my boss needs to meet you. And when I meet the headmaster the next day, because I did a first visit at the primary instead of the nursery, said, oh, that boss is away now. But the headmaster supposedly would arrange for the teacher to invite me right away. It never happened. So domestication centers have owners to schools, or they're religious. This is an example. And nothing ever happens. And we keep hearing the terms like, you are welcome as many times as you want, but we can't seem to apply any human thinking tools like you can, and we don't really want to learn them or pass them on to our kids. So this is an example of how it's the same everywhere around the world. And here, I mean, I took my hat off. The kids saw not only that I'm a white person, but a shaved head. You know, they're curious. They're not curious about what's inside my head as thinking tools and teaching skills. That's what the teachers are really supposed to be interested about, and the management and the supposed owners. But it's not schools, it's domestication centers. So it's just business as usual, and even profit's not even factored in anymore. So it's so zombie-ish. And so it's the same when I worked for a school district in Quebec. Last time I was there, I mean, it's the same. I mean, I made so much progress with the kids with challenges that I was assigned to that are even children of the staff there, and nobody asks me how I have so much success with their students in their school, including teachers and including other special needs workers who been working with these same kids for long periods of time, but I've never made the progress that I've made. So nobody asks, right? And even if I had the same diplomas as them, which they want me to have, which is usually 1 or 2 little short diploma, while I have so many more compared to them, is they still wouldn't ask, you know, how to create a human baby from birth to, or before birth to actually, you know, a 25-year-old matured brain that is human. Nobody cares to ask about how this is done. And it's because we're so many generations behind on solving this problem that it's too late. So it's quite sad to keep seeing this, but it's nice to see the kids always have a curiosity. And if they were left to themselves, like let's say all the staff, which is possible in a domestication center, didn't show up for work, but they forgot to call it in, or they called it in, some of them, but nobody kind of said, hey, we actually all called in. Nobody showed up. And then that's the day I go do a visit and sign in the book that I'm there. The day I sign shame on you as the reason for my visit. Then maybe the kids would have an education that day, you know, not be domesticated into HSD and zombieism like the staff are doing. Same everywhere around the world, people. It's really no difference. And if anybody allows me to film videos and demonstrate these skills and these examples of what I'm talking about, including swallowing their pride and having teachers do this as well and be retrained into human thinking tools, you would do so much good for your kids. But it's never going to happen. I already know HSD has spread way too much.